Let's talk about our first grade language arts curriculum picks, as well as how I plan on mapping everything out. This is our second year using Logic of English Foundations, and I feel like it provides just the right amount of challenge for my son. When looking for curriculum, I was definitely searching certain keywords. So as I was hearing reviews, reading blogs, all that stuff, I would look for things that were related to autism, late talkers, speech delay, stuff like that, just because I wanted to take in the opinions of people that have a similar path to me and my son versus kind of a path that we're not really taking, based off of the materials needed and based off of what gets introduced. I did go ahead and plan everything out. So this is what it's looking like for Logic of English Foundation C. So in my mind, everything that's kind of gonna get used throughout the year, in multiple lessons, I kind of went ahead and wrote up there. I also did go ahead and lay out it in a way where if we do a 4 to 5 day week, I know we might not get to everything that whole week, but if we do, this is kind of how it would look. So I kind of decided to just write everything out, and then if we get to it, I'll go ahead and write the completed date on top. Something else that is different about Logic of English Foundation C is that it does end up having some kind of extra lesson at the end of each section. So we'll definitely see how that plays out. I did put it here, and in red I did go ahead and put all the different assessments that we're going to be having at the end of each section. What I also did was I decided to kind of plan out when we're going to be using the readers. That way I can kind of pull them and have them ready for the week, as well as which books I'm going to go ahead and be requesting from the library, just because we don't have a lot of these books on hand. And as you're able to see here, you're going to pretty much be using the Bob book set 1 in the beginning, and then towards the end of Foundation C, that's when you're actually going to be using all the Bob book sets. This is something that I kind of wanted to see just so I can kind of plan ahead and just get everything ready, And because I did go ahead and read through each lesson, I did go ahead and get a few things ready. This is something that we started last year, and I think we're going to be continuing it this year. If not, I believe we're just going to reference it in the first few lessons. And then as we continue, we're going to have another kind of list that we're going to be using. And then we're also going to have a different chart that we're going to be using. Something else that I am going to go ahead and be keeping in this little folder is all the little extra resources that come when you end up getting the Logic of English stuff. And then I did also get this cute little rhythm of handwriting strip for my little one. So he is going to be having this out, which is perfect for when he's having to kind of write things down instead of him having something big and visual on the walls or on the side. We have this cute little desk strip to kind of make things easier. And then as for Logic of English Foundations D, I haven't really planned that. I'm gonna go ahead and plan that out probably around December, just because I just planned out the first half of the school year, not really the whole year yet. But for Foundations D, I did just go ahead and place an order for the recommended books that actually, it's not even recommended. They actually have it under additional books needed per student. So just in case you want to know what you're going to be needing, it's going to be this little book list. I did go ahead and make a list of it on my Amazon in case you guys want to check it out quickly and easily. But I did just place my order, so we'll see when we get that, since we are going through our charter school. I do plan on supplementing Logic of English Foundations with a few different things. I kind of popped this into ChatGPT, and it kind of helped me line up all the different games that I have for, I believe, part 2 and part 3, and kind of align it with Logic of English Foundation C and D. That way I kind of know what games to bring out with my little ones to kind of reinforce those skills through play, rather than just the workbooks or the flashcards that we're going to be using. And then another thing that I did is I went ahead and asked ChatGPT to help me kind of organize all the different books that we have that are readers, from the quotable books all the way up to our chapter books, just to kind of bring it out and align it, and also kind of have it ready for when I plan on redoing all of this again with my daughter when she's ready. And then when my little one is in pre-K, I do plan on getting her the Lovely Reading Skill Set Part 1. So when all that comes into play, this is pretty much going to be the schedule that she follows. And then my first grader is going to go ahead and be using this. And just for reference, these are the decodable books, readers that we're going to be using and plan on using all the way from like pre-K up to first grade. Right now, our son is finishing through this. Actually, he already went ahead and finished this one. We're actually reviewing the Lovery ones. And then come first grade, he's going to be starting these purple ones. And then down here, I did go ahead and add all of the new Lovery Reading Skills Set 3 books. That's just gonna be ready to go for us to start the school year. And then right now we are like reading through these, which is like why they're right here and not in like the completed section. So we're gonna get done with this in like the next week or two, and then we'll be completely done with the Lovery Reading Skills Set 2 books, and we'll be starting these and just be good to go for first grade. So I have 4 different resources that I'm going to be using and rotating throughout the week as like independent work for my first grader. So 3 times a week, he is going to be working through his sight words. He's actually started his like sight word journey in pre-K and continue that in kindergarten. But instead of giving him like the little printables that I have, I decided to grab him this like Minecraft one. And as you guys can see, like I always write my little notes just in case my daughter wants to do this again in the future. I know exactly like what schedule I went ahead and used. But this is going to be done 3 times a week, and it's just a cute little way to just kind of reinforce and review those sight words, as well as like introduce new ones in like kind of like a playful, cute little way. And then I'm also going to be using these Montessori books. We are going to go ahead and start off with the consonant blends just to go ahead and review things and make sure that he's understanding those blends. And I also kind of want to like continue with his speech and the way he's like pronouncing things. This is like a really cute little way. There's like so many different things that you can do in here. So this is something that he did enjoy since we did do the other, I think it was like the other 2. So I do kind of want to continue with that. And then I don't know if we're gonna do it first semester or second semester, but once he's done with the other one, we're gonna go ahead and work our way through this one. I know Logic of English Foundations B did go ahead and touch on the silent E, but I know it's gonna get brought up again as we continue with our Logic of English Foundation. So that's why this is also gonna go ahead and be used for first grade. So it can kind of like continue reviewing all that stuff and just like reinforce those skills and maybe introduce things in like a different way that it's not being seen in the actual Logic of English workbooks. Another thing that our first grader is going to be working through is these code breakers missions. I believe there's a total of like 3 missions, and this is definitely going to be like a cute way to kind of like review things as well as introduce and get ready for like the next things. I do appreciate that if you actually purchase this and you go through like the little barcode that you scan, it takes you to another page where she pretty much explains everything and gives you like different printables and resources. I don't really have this like mapped out on like how many times a week we're going to be using it, because I kind of want him to do it just for fun. So this is definitely going to be kind of like reviewing his handwriting as well as working through the phonics. So we'll see how it kind of ends up like getting blended in, but for sure it's going to be used for our first grade year.